and friend artists of all ages and experiences. So, welcome everyone to AnySquared Spotlight. And today we have a treat. Someone who is near and dear to AnySquared, Akira, is giving his art talk. And I'm excited to see what he has to show, and also excited for us to ask him questions and engage with him about his work. Um, I we met him a long time ago. I think you just walked in because of the sign outside. Is that true?
Yeah, I walked in, I was walking around and
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you stayed and hung out for a while. And you've been involved with different exhibits that we've organized. And I know that you had an exhibit at Agitator Gallery. Some friends of ours are part of Agitator Gallery, and I know you were at Oliva Gallery as well. So you've been doing a lot of different things in a while, including a lot of activism stuff. And actually, I'm going to say truly, your images that you were doing during all the demonstrations last year were amazing to me and helped me understand what was going on, because I was, as an immunocompromised older person, it was very good to see people out on the streets doing things. So, Miguel, like, I'm so excited. I want to hear your talk. Let's go. Let's do the talk.
Okay. Thank you guys for coming. This is my first public dialogue. If you guys hear a pause, uh be patient with me. I I do stutter, so it takes me sometimes a bit of a second to speak. Okay. So hello everyone again. My name is Akira um, I Yashike, which translates into light that heals. I'm a fine art photographer, but most importantly, a philosopher. At the age of 3, I came to the States to escape the poverty of my village from the negative impact the 1994 North American Free Trade Agreement brought to my village and all villages all over Mexico, leaving the lands of my grandmothers to be raised in the shadows of illegalization. After graduating college, I left the city to work at farms uh, in in the Midwest to further my connection to the land. During that time, I was able to immerse myself in the truth and wisdom of the land, and thus able to find my ancestral connection to the land and my ancestors. Returning to the city in 2019, I started to communicate these truths and wisdoms of the land as a photographer, and received my first debut solo show later that year. The intentions of my work is to introduce indigenous philosophies to urban natives like myself in order to teach rebellion in a desperate attempt to liberate our communities from the mechanisms of violence maintained by the power of coloniality. Since coming back to the city, I have been able to maintain my connection to the land and continue to work at farms by Madison, Wisconsin, and 3 in the city of Chicago with patchwork farms. In keeping true to the liberation of the land, I plan to use the farms that I'm working on to as an educational hub to introduce indigenous philosophy to Black and indigenous youth. And in these farms, more specifically the one in Madison, by Madison, we will grow fruit and flowers. At the same time, we will also learn how to shoot rifles. So I'm gonna go into my website to show a brief view of my website for those who haven't seen it. Give me a second.
Share that screen.
Yes. Okay. So this is my website. This is the main page. Rostros Indígenas was my first show. I'm going to read the statement that I wrote for this one. If I can see it, give me a second. Okay. So for many cultures like my own, surviving colonialism, the idea has been embedded through institutions and society that in order to save ourselves, we must leave behind our ancestors' language and purify our blood by marrying through the Christ and having children with a white person. We have internalized that to be with a white person is to progress and succeed in life. Así vamos a purificar nuestra sangre. This is how we're going to purify our blood, my family would say. It's been more than 500 years since the Western Hemisphere started to be colonized. In this short period, many people of indigenous descent have silently lost their tongues in exchange for opportunities, acceptance, and most critically, our survival within these societies. This has severed most of us from our ancestral connection to the land, leaving us to have one reality, one which our purpose is to give our labor to maintain these societies. Colonial societies will always define us according to our function within them, instead of acknowledging that our cultures have the inalienable power to exist according to our locality. Those in power do not want us to exist on our own. So it's foolish that we strive to have a better place in them by changing their laws, policies, and institutions whose main priority is protecting the homogeneous patriarchal class-based society. In reality, we need to recognize that we don't want to be part of these destructive societies. Even though colonialism still reigns over our ancestral lands, it will be through our affirmation of our identities and our ancestral connection to the land that we can begin to heal ourselves in order to liberate the land from the power of coloniality. We have always been here and we will continue to be here. This is not the end, it is the opening statement. This was made in 2019 for my first solo show. You can also find my website, the pictures I took during the Black Lives Matter movement that happened last year in the summer. Yes.
Show some bigger.
Yes. Okay. Taking a second to load. So the first three photos are the day before the big night. This was Friday night. this was the first night before the 2,000 people that got arrested. The next day, uh, I wasn't aware of what was happening when I first came. N- I don't think no one was expecting for this much to happen. I do recall when I was heading to the protest that night, 20 police cars zoomed right through me, and for me that was like a warning sign saying that the revolution is coming. Seeing like 20 cops go down Clark really fast. Uh, and then these photos over here are part of the second day. Uh, on this day, 2,000 people got arrested. And I was lucky enough that I was able to get behind the police and film them being violent towards people. Uh, Here in this photo over here, I recall people just holding up their hands up, just holding up and saying that they're in peace. But the cops just came in and just started hitting them, and you can see from the look of her face how terrified she is. But again, the cops, they don't really give a fuck. So this is when things started to get more intense. Uh, as you can see by the smoke, I never seen the city quite like this before, and it gave me such a sense of power and love and community. When I was taking these photos, my concern was always how do I put it? So mm, my concern was always protecting people's identities. So I tried to always take more pictures of the police rather than the protesters. Uh, Also, in my websites, I do have portraits uh, that I do work on. Uh, but let's get to the main event, the main pictures I selected for this art talk. Give me a second. Does anyone have questions before I begin the second section?
Um, when you were documenting the things, like we were talking about being behind the police, like when you went to the protest, were you making sure that you were staying in a way that you could continue to take photographs?
So the thing about my camera is that
Mhm.
uh, it's a very short lens, so I had to get really, really close to the police. And my lawyers warned me not to do that because if I get arrested at protest, for me, it's considered felony
Yeah.
because of my status. Uh, but yes, it was yeah, it was a constant fear. I sort of got traumatized being so close to police. There's a photo that I call "Police on Lake," and that one was really like towards the end of that big night. There was just a bunch of cops all over the place, and I was just trying to try to escape to downtown. But but yes, I'm always aware like how close the cops are to me.
I just wanted you to be safe, hon.
No, yes, of course, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna start the second part, and let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is my portfolio. You guys can download it to view it yourself as well. Uh, so the first one is called "Welcome to Cellular colonialism. The first rule, you do not talk about it. So the colonialism. So this points out to the fact that, the reason why this system is still allowed to continue is because we don't talk about it to begin with. Uh, this one depicts a girl in a fine downtown setting in the city of Chicago, of course. And outside there's a protest. So the little girl's looking out at the protest while her family is having a fancy dinner. It sort of shows that this is how colonialism works. It's like you're able to just ignore it and not care about it or do anything about it, or not want to do anything about it. It's probably my favorite piece. The land calls for its warriors. This is a so the ultimate goal is to liberate the land. Uh, the irony is that so I always hear people that want to heal, they want to self heal, they want to, just heal basically. The irony is that in order to truly heal, we have to have a relationship with the land. We have to go to the land. And only then can we really heal and heal ourselves. But one thing that I always like to push is like, why do we heal ourselves? And again, the reason why we heal ourselves is that so that we can come together and free the land from the power of coloniality. So that's the ultimate goal. Wake up. So the American dream. My family, when they came to the States, they believe in the American dream, like many other people do. Uh, but with this picture, what I'm trying to say, more specifically to urban natives, uh, that we need to wake up from this nightmare. We think that it's a dream, but it's actually a nightmare. Uh, as you can see from her clothing, it's a very European piece to sort of show again, it's like who my audience is. And same with India, they both are trying to show like who is my audience, and that is the urban native. Those are people of indigenous descent. They don't have to be directly tied to any group or community. Uh, but yes, but basically the urban natives are natives who are living in urban settings like Chicago, New York, Texas, LA, all these urban settings. It's basically, yeah, disobedient slave. Uh, so this is where my current work is has come from. There's a common theme that I'm trying to that I have, and it's this theme of teaching a rebellion. One thing about non-black and indigenous people, basically like mostly white people, they always want to lead. They always want to be the ones to save people, just like they did when they came over here. They try to save our souls. So a big part of me like wants to it is trying to say to everyone that we need to be the ones to lead this like movement and fight, because we are the only ones who really know what really need. So this is the beginning to show people what rebellion looks like, what revolution, the real revolution looks like. Because I feel like there's a mm, I feel that peace and love is not enough anymore. With what happened to the leader, the leaders of of the civil rights movement, like Martin Luther King. Jr. It's like he was all about peace, but that was not good enough. Decolonization in progress, to show again that we are changing, and this is how it looks like. This is how decolonization looks like. Police line on lake. So this was at the end of the night when I was trying to get away, and it just there's protesters, but not that many.
This is crazy picture. Oh my God.
Yes, yes. So all of these are cops. There were so many of them that I couldn't see beyond this wall of cops, and they're all looking towards in that direction. I wish we could see a little bit more, but I guess not. Yes. Yes, it's a lot of cops.
There's a say what you were gonna say. So the clash with the colors.
Yeah, I think there's a big clash with the colors in this picture.
Yes, yes, yes.
Red and then they're opposite.
Mm, this was taken with film, so with a movie film. So it really has some beautiful colors, very movie-esque feel. Continuation, probably my most selling picture. So we didn't get here by ourselves. Someone worked hard, someone sacrificed something to give us what we have. And I feel that now we're old enough to to uh to get the next generation ready to fight, because they're going to be the ones who are going to be fighting next the system. So I feel that it's up to us to make sure that they're ready. They're going to be with the ones fighting and with less resources, so we need to make sure that they're ready.
Everyone in the room is saying that that's such an iconic picture and so amazing. And thank you for that photo.
No, yes, yes. All these photos were taken on the spot, nothing planned, and this one was just a magical moment where I was just in front of the protest, and the protest had stopped, and the two little girls just sat down just like that, and I was lucky enough to be able to be right there. Okay. So with the pink one, it's very mm, direct. There will be no liberation of the land without Black people, which is ultimately what Black Lives Matter. Until Black Lives Matter, no lives would matter. And again, until we're liberated, the land would never be free. So you see that there's a hierarchy in some sense. Slave patrol. This one is to point towards the prison system, how that is a new way of making slaves, just because they're getting paid 25 cents or less than a dollar a day. That doesn't make it okay. It's still cheap slave labor. And the fact that it's mostly Black and brown people, again, that's why I refer to cops as slave patrols, because they're the ones who put us in jails. We are Adam Toledo. So this is a recent photo. I only have one of these printed. This is a warning to urban natives. A warning to them, because to tell them that they're silently killing the young people, but also our leaders. Yeah. 500 years. So this can mean many things. Oh, gotcha. Give me a second. with this photo, I'm trying to ask, how long, when will we realize that we are kings and queens? When will we come together as a tribe and see ourselves more than just pawns on the streets? It's been more than 500 years. This one, which translates to warrior. And again, this is tying back to the theme of teaching rebellion, showing the next generation what it means to rebel, to go against the system. And it's also an image of when Black and Indigenous people come together, how much power and love we have. Ancestral protection and ancestral joy. Again, this one, for me, I feel, I don't know if anyone has felt their ancestors, but there's always, it's a very common theme in Native cultures that our ancestors are always protecting us. And this one, ancestral joy, is another, to tell you more about the photo, we were trying to bring down the Columbus statue. And once we kicked out the police from the statue, this person came in and started praying and was, full of joy and love. It was such an amazing picture to take. The Battle of Chicago. Again, to show people the power that we have when we come together, Indian Manifesto. So it's a, yes.
I love that previous photo.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes.
That's so powerful as a citizen of Chicago, because that monument is right in the middle of downtown.
Yeah.
All their, Capitol glory.
Exactly. It was such a horrible thing to see that cops were so willing to protect this material statue that does not feel pain, and they were willing to hit young girls in the mouth to protect it.
Question, who is that in the statue? That's Columbus, right?
Yes, Columbus. So because it got very intense with the city mayor.
Years. Yeah. It's very iconic. It's in a park by the Millennial Park where all the tourists come. It's very in the center of downtown where all the tourists pass. On the other side is the beam and everything. So the fact that they got attacked, I mean, this is, like he says, they protect downtown in Chicago more than anything. And this was a battle of the will against the city of Chicago, the residents versus the police.
I mean, to be honest, there's not really much to be proud of in Columbus. I mean, the only people that I've seen so outwardly proud of his accomplishments and show even a semblance of consistency are the Italians, who, like, on every day on Christopher Columbus Day, they get incredibly up at arms and in celebration because the one relevant person in their history to ever partake in anything remotely related to American history just so happened to be the one dude who initiated the transcontinental slave trade, executed pretty much all the natives within the Caribbean, and started arguably what was one of the first, if not the first, child sex trafficking rings. Mm-hmm. Yes, what a hero. What a representative of Western civilization. Civilization is the destruction of brutalism, I guess, because the natives were brutal. They were brutes. They were uncivilized, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is the yes, that is the big lie right there that we were.
See what energy that picture brings? That was pure energy.
Yes. Honestly, it was such an amazing day to have this happen. And again, like, this would never have happened if white people were leading this. because they're not willing to do this. This was led by Black and Native people. They were the ones who led this.
The interesting thing about white Anglo Americans or Europeans, European Americans in general, when trying to lead civil movements that directly affect minority groups, you could see a trend in it with American American natives, where when the first settlers came, they called them Indians. They called them native. They called them Indians, as in because they had assumed they landed into India because of the whole Christopher Columbus shamble, where he wanted to cross the Pacific Ocean on a circular path. Natives didn't really take on to this very well because they didn't call themselves that. They didn't call themselves Indians or natives. Like they called themselves by their own tribal names, by their own terminology. But the settlers decided to ascribe that term to them. Then fast forward into the future, once again, it is white settler and descendants who are here to say, don't call them Indians, call them natives, continuously trying to take control as to what these people are to refer to themselves anymore.
Yeah. Yes. There's this in indigenous philosophy, there's a thing called the black row and the red row. One of the things about the black row is that it pretty much try to teach or try to show that in order to bring about change, we need to engage in the popular culture and language and communication of the colonizers. So that the point is not only to engage, but to also challenge it. Yes, it's like I definitely don't like the name Native or Indians or whatever, but again, I feel that we need to engage and challenge the language that the colonizers and the culture that they created.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's not so much the terms themselves. The terms, at least to me, don't really mean anything unless there's some sort of substance behind them.
Yes.
It's the principle of coming along and referring to these people by a specific term that your ancestors brought about, and then you trying to undo that same mistake because you have to be the one to fix the problem. You caused it. The whole issue surrounds you instead of the people who you affected.
Yes. Indian Manifesto. This is pretty much what my manifesto is about. You know, the rifle and the land. Yeah, that is a solution in my opinion. Teaching rebellion. So this is part of my future work. So when the Black Lives Matter movement, this arose, teaching rebellion. Again, I feel that we have always questioned, like, what is the answer? What is the solution? And again, white people have always limited us to questions. What I'm trying to do is show answers or solutions, you know, what we need. And this, so this is the farm where I plan to teach kids how to grow flowers, but also shoot a rifle. Another project that rose was girls against the patriarch, but also boys against the patriarch and women against the patriarch. One thing that I saw in the Black Lives Matter movement, especially during the end, when less and less people started coming, I realized that the people who were leading and putting all the protests together and the people that put themselves most in danger with the Black women that were organizing everything, when there was less people, it was obvious that it was them who were holding everyone up. And yeah, I think one of the things why the Black Lives Matter movement didn't go as far as we wanted to was because of the patriarch. It really hindered the Black Lives Matter movement, in my opinion. Girls against the patriarch and boys against the patriarch. So this one specifically, what I'm trying to do is sort of trying to understand how the patriarch affects boys and men. I I personally don't think that there is men, because if there were men in this world, we wouldn't be here to begin with. So I feel like we're all still boys. At least most of us are still boys. But yes, one thing that people don't talk about a lot is how um, the patriarchy doesn't only affect women. Yes, it does affect them the most, but it also affects boys from an early start. Uh, all these people are my family. Uh, these are my cousin as well. This is the same girl as this one. Just this one's a younger version of her. And my brother. So my next solo show was gonna be in 2022 in August. It's called Greenhouse. Um, this one arose from me farming and sort of again finding the truth and wisdom from the land. Uh, with this project, what I'm trying to do is sort of like show the urban native, but also to others, what it means to have a relationship to the land. Because that's one thing that we don't have is land, of course. Like I live here all my life, and only until I was like 24 did I ever really see, land or felt land energy. And then this one, Blue Magic. Um, this one's going to be a portrait series of all Black women. Uh, yes, and that's it. I left the PDF file for anyone that wants to see it personally uh, in the chat box. Okay, so time for the questions and answers part.
Could you talk more about your Blue Magic series?
Yes, so it's still new. Again, I think when I first started doing portraits, my aim was to take portraits of anyone who identifies as women, and yeah, it's still new. I guess I'm trying to find out what I'm trying to do with that, but I feel that just like women against the patriarch, I'm trying to find and reflect. Hmm, hmm, hmm. I guess the most simplest way to put it would be it's like me trying to push forward Black beauty, uh, Black magic, healing energy, and I feel that yeah, yeah. mm, Sorry, I couldn't do my, but it's still fairly new. I'm still working on how to communicate it.
I think that was good, Akira.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question about your method of photography. What makes you think of what's the best angle? How do you come across it? Is there like is it a spontaneous thing where you see an event take place and you just take a picture on the fly, or is there some sort of method to it? Because I noticed that there was a mix of there's a mix of obfuscation in terms of like the subject matter of each photo, and then there's the matter of others where there's more of a dual focus on different characteristics of the scenery. Is there a Was that intentional, or is it like just a little just by coincidence
No,
at the moment?
everything is intentional. I feel that almost every photo that I show has my philosophy in it. Uh, uh, I guess the best answer would be like yes. I did plan it, and I just am lucky to have a good eye. I have a good visual eye, and that has helped me a lot when taking the photos. I am self-taught. I taught myself how to take the photographs, and I just use my eye. But again, I am an artist, so I feel like that us as artists, we have this very visual eye. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I see like these handful of photos, and I mean the subject matter and the methodology is distinctly different, but the energy that it carried was, it made me reminisce on a specific photographer from Poland. I don't remember his name at the moment, which I feel a bit embarrassed about, considering that he was one of the most influential artists and photographers of the late 20th century. But his works reflected the horrors and the misandry of the Western world. He was a Polish man. He was a Polish Jew who survived through the Holocaust, and many of his works reflect the horrors that he may see. Now, he himself has self-described as his paintings not having any intrinsic meaning, because the whole point of art is for for a perspective on things from the individual eye. There's no definitive meaning behind it. Many of his art was pretty horrific, grotesque, but there was a sense of refinement and beauty to it. And I mean, like your art isn't grotesque, nor have I ever felt repulsed by it. But the same sort of energy of like intrigue and the sense of immersion is on par, is what I would say.
Yes.
Are there anyone? Is there anyone here who wants to ask Miguel a question or Akira a question?
It's more of a praise than anything. It's not really a question, but as like a younger artist, I look up to you a lot in your work, and I translate your images into paintings or like drawings often, and I've shown you before. I think your work is really powerful to like you name these things that I didn't even know were a thing, like the urban
Native.
and you like I don't know when we were doing the photo shoot, you pointed out these features in me that I always thought of as ugly because it's like from my native side, and I don't know, I never ever in my life have ever heard that, and coming from an artist, it just like it meant a lot. And I think your concepts are very strong, like in terms of um, like politically, like they're politically charged in a very good way. I think there's a lot of power and fire in your work, and don't ever stop making work.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to ask or say to Akira? We'll open it up to everyone online.
I love that he's like peace and flowers and guitar, and then he's like guns and blood and
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that well,
water and fire at the same time in you, and it's just it's amazing.
I think when you first started coming here to the studio, you were playing guitar and you actually had a show that you organized here, and I knew you more as a musician than a photographer, and it's been a very interesting journey to see you evolve as a photographer, doing digital photography and film and going into film photography, which is very difficult. So that's been awesome to see. I'm just letting you know that.
Thank you.
I guess I have one.
Oh, Shane, you gotta come a little closer so he can hear you.
What are your tactics for involving nature into your photography? Like, how do you incorporate nature?
Well, I would say that the whole point of my photographs is to liberate the land. So I feel like the philosophy, I guess, is how I incorporate nature to my photographs. You know.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. Like,
Mhm.
what's next? What I know that you were talking about things that you're working on now and you just started, but like what's next? What do you want to do in the future? How do you see yourself as an artist in the future? And what format will that be in? Is it photography? I know you as a musician as well. Is like, and I know that you work on, work with the land and do like, harvesting and planting. So I want to kind of understand, what do you see yourself? What's next?
Um, I feel that the whole reason why I put so much work and effort is because I myself have found happiness and content, and I sort of want to share that with people. Uh, and yeah, most of what I'm going to be doing will be about raising the people that are being oppressed. Um, my future work deals with again showing people what is the solution in some sense, you know. Uh, yeah, definitely I would be farming a lot, and I think that's the main goal, is to be able to have land and be able to share that land with people. Uh, again, for the liberation of the land. I feel like everything is for that, for that purpose. And so all my work is still going to be very political, uh, um, very aggressive. I feel that people don't pay attention unless I am aggressive, which why I always get into arguments or heated discussions with people. But that's the only way that they'll listen to me or even like bother talking to me.
Oh, oh, oh,
Dude, can you play some guitar?
My
oh. Everyone loves you playing guitar because you're so good at it, actually.
soon I will.
But
Yes.
not now.
Mhm.
Come to the studio and play guitar again.
Yes. Mhm.
Does anyone else have any questions? Uh, do you have some final thoughts that you want to share with people? I'm looking at some of the questions that I was thinking about asking. Like, I mean, what artists are you influenced by?
Um, I wish I could say, but I don't really like in terms of photographs. I don't really look at anybody.
It doesn't have to be photographs. It could be
Okay,
just artists that you have been inspired by.
I'm. I would say that they're not artists, but I would say a lot of women have inspired me. Especially my mother. I was raised by women, so women have always been powerful, strong, individual. You know, so when I grew up being older, that's when I started to realize what the patriarch was doing. But yeah, I would say the women throughout all my life have inspired me, and it's probably the again one of the main issues that I try to talk about. Mm-mm. Um, Final thoughts, I guess for me would be, you know, indigenous philosophy is a very hard concept to sort of wrap around, but it pretty much just what my art is trying to do is expose these flaws, these stupid ideas that the society colonialism has made, and I'm using the philosophy to show like what is the where the fruit is rotting basically. Like one thing about indigenous philosophy is that unlike Western philosophy, unless you are changing, then you're not considered real. which is the opposite of Western philosophy, which says if you are changing, then you're not real. So again, it doesn't really show us like a stark difference. And when it comes to women in society, again, in Western philosophy, where it's all white men, there's no black or indigenous woman or anything like that. It's only all white men. Of course, we're gonna have a society where women are oppressed and men are the center of the universe. So again, with indigenous philosophy, I try to use the philosophy to show how different, how much better, it is. Uh,
Um, so I was also thinking, like, you know, you've been doing, like, how is it working with digital versus film? And for you, like, let's get some, like, insight into like how that has been for you, because like it's very two very different mediums
yes, very different.
photography, and you've done both in different ways, and it's very interesting that you have a like point of view about that, and I've heard your point of view about that, so I would like to like share that with people who are viewing right now.
Yes, so I would say if you have not taken photographs, I would say go digital if you want. You will learn faster and it will be a lot cheaper in some sense. Uh, they're both very different. With film, you have to be more patient because again, digital works best, especially during the uh, Columbus statue rally that happened. Cops were grabbing people, they were grabbing bikes. So my film would have been too slow to capture the moment. So that's where digital really helps. I can just click and get out to safety. Uh, I love film though for its beauty and its its flaws. You know. Uh,
Uncontrollable.
yes, exactly,
Controllable,
exactly.
uncontrollable.
Yep, yep. I love that. And I do plan to go to a medium format, but at the moment, it costs a lot of money to move to a medium format. So for now, I'm gonna stick to 35 millimeter.
And
But
it's also
eventually,
less portable.
yes, yes. Mhm. But yes, I love both. I use both. Both are very useful in their settings. Uh, yeah, film is too expensive right now.
um, oh, see, like everyone always has a question
At the end.
at the end.
So with these like really heavy topics, whenever I think about like I get myself pretty involved, but it often escalates to like a very like I want to know what you do to take care of yourself because I think that's really important as a person who's fighting um, for other people and for movements like you.
So
So
yes, I think for me, healing, it's very hard for me to heal. I feel that I'm constantly not healing because, how to put this? Uh, I'm just always, I face these things head on. Uh, and yeah, that's the only thing. So self healing, that's a very big issue for me. Only because I feel that most people heal for because they feel bad about the privileges.
yeah,
And so one thing to always ask yourself is like, why do you need to heal? Are you healing just so that you can feel good about yourself, or are you healing so you can fight? So the way that I heal is only through land. Uh, so that's what makes it so hard for me to heal because I'm not always in land. Uh, but yes, that's probably the best way that I heal is by working in the land, being a part of the land. The land is healing, and yeah, um, that's how I take care of myself. But I do. but I do feel crazy a lot of the time because I feel that everyone is acting calm and normal, but in my world, it's like time is ticking. You know, climate change is happening, and I wish we could all heal and have the time to heal, but we don't have that time anymore like we
There's
did.
an urgency.
Yeah, I think that sense of urgency definitely translates through your work and
But
just
yes,
through
yes,
what you talk about and how you converse with people. I think it definitely reflects and like really channels onto it to other
yes.
people. It did to me. So
Mhm,
thank you.
mhm.
I think there, like, when there are crazy problems in the world, it's hard to have a balance. So I understand.
Mm.
Well, the abundance that you've created here is quite apparent. Your 1,000 garlics are huge and incredibly healthy.
Haha, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Garlic?
yes. At the farm by Madison, me and the other farmer Kurt are growing 1,000 garlics right now. Mhm.
Oh, sorry.
No
Uh,
worries.
you're creating sustenance at the same time as you're fighting the existence of oppression, and this is beautiful.
Again, yes, going back to my photo, Indian Manifesto, it's like the rifle and the land beside me, you know?
Yeah.
in my pocket. I just want to say first and foremost, it has been an honor to listen to Miguel go about his principles, his strategy, and his methodology at conveying an artistic vision of a world and a community without the shackles of the previous hegemony of colonial control. And I have the utmost respect for him, and I've said this before, but for anyone who wasn't here, the only reason why I ever came across Miguel to begin with is because he and I just so happened to play a World War II tank simulator game, and that's how I came across him.
Yep.
He had his clan, that's what the or whatever, like these little game groups. His it was named after the EZLN, El Ejército Zapatista de Liberación Nacional, which is a militant native group in Chiapas who defends the Zapatista communities.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah.
Do you have anything to say about being inspired by the EZLN?
Yes, actually, a lot, a lot. Again, I think is um something that we should try to do here as well. I feel that um what it really is, that movement is basically just autonomy over the land, you know, having control of like the resources that you live on, that you farm in. And yeah, yeah. Again, this goes back to teaching rebellion, you know, trying to teach people. Uh yeah.
Ooh. So does anyone else have anything to say? I just wanted to leave it open just in case anyone wanted to say anything last minute.
Hi guys, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Kimberly, and I met Miguel about a year and a half ago when he had a group exhibition in Logan Square at Oliva Gallery, and he has an upcoming solo. So I was wondering if Miguel would like to talk about that in 2022.
Yes.
Awesome!
Yes, I do. So my second debut show, I mean not debut, but second solo show is gonna call Greenhouse, and it's going to be in August, 2022. Uh, Greenhouse again is about what I have experienced with my many years of farming, and again the truth and wisdom that I learned from it. There's so much to learn from the land, and everything that I'm saying comes from the land. That's why I feel so confident in what I say, because again, these truths and wisdom is not for me or from any other human or man, whatever. it comes directly from the land. I learned it from the land itself. So I'm just trying to share that. And that's where greenhouse comes in. Again, one thing that we as urban natives don't have is access to land. So when I have finally had access to land, it was such a beautiful, magical experience farming, like a lot, and just spending days and days outside the city and being surrounded by stars. Again, I wish I could teach everything that I learned from the land, but in order for any person to get it, they have to see it themselves. And that's how this project came about, trying to show urban natives what does it mean to have a relationship with the land. Uh, and I hope to capture moments like brush fires when we had to burn the dead wood, when we had to put in thousand garlics before the winter comes. Uh, just the harvest moments. When we're drying up pumpkins in the greenhouse. Just things like that I never saw myself as growing up as a kid. So I feel like that's pretty much greenhouse is going to be about, is showing urban natives what it means to have a relationship with land.
Thanks for sharing that. And that is, what's the date of that again?
It's going to be the second Friday of August.
In 2022.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
We'll be sharing that out in the ether when it comes up.
Yeah.
So does anyone else have anything else to say? Because we're about to wrap up. Last chance. But I appreciate your talk, Miguel, and so excited that you got to share some images with us. And everyone, make sure you check out his website, Akira-portraits.com. And he is also on Instagram as Akira. Is it Akira Portraits? I can't remember. Look up
Akira.portraits.
Akira.portraits on Instagram, so you can follow him there, and his website is linked to there. So make sure you check him out. I am so happy you did this talk, and I'm so grateful, and thank you. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. I really love it.
Everyone's like, bye.
Bye.
Check social media for future Zooms and future streams.